We just a couple of weeks ago announced Mi Note, which is our latest creation of a large format device, 5.7-inch screen, which was a very celebrated launch as well. This photo in particular, which we're going to try to replicate here later today, was sort of the epic selfie that our CEO did on stage and now became one of the things in China. We also made a few announcements, very exciting ones, which we've talked very briefly about here in India around smart home. We are continuing to build out our smart home ecosystem, which I'd like to talk a little bit about because some of this will be relevant for India as well. We launched our Mi air purifier, a product that has been incredibly well received, in China in particular, of course, because of pollution. It's a product that we firmly intend to bring to the Indian market at some point in the near future. And I think the reasons are obvious. It hopefully will help people live a more healthy life. So that's the plan for sure. One thing that we've begun talking about a bit more publicly over the last month or so is how we plan to build this smart home ecosystem. The idea behind the smart home ecosystem is that all of your appliances in your home, in your office, are addressable, via from your phone. They can be controlled, they can be monitored, also remotely because they're connected to the cloud, and so on and so forth. And the way in which we plan to achieve that is through our Mi Universal Smart Module, which is a wireless chip that will be made available to appliance manufacturers and which essentially connects these previously sort of dumb/disconnected appliances into cloud-connected devices. And we plan on selling this chip at cost. Today it costs us about $3, a little bit less, to make one. We're hoping that it'll cost us less than $1 in the near future to make one of those chips, which starts to look really, really appealing. Even not so much just for devices like appliances, but why not things like a light bulb, even individual power sockets, for example, that can be addressed, sort of even smaller appliances and devices as well that can be controlled and monitored from your phone and from the cloud. And it's around this smart module that we're beginning to construct an ecosystem. The idea, of course, is you take an existing appliance, you add this smart module. I think the example here that we're mentioning is there's a traditional air conditioner. All of a sudden that air conditioner is cloud connected. You can program it remotely. You can look at its status remotely, and so on. We made a very sizable investment, one of our largest investments to date, in a company called Midea, which is one of the largest appliance manufacturers in China. They're also a big exporter. And they have actually decided to launch a new product line dedicated to this smart home ecosystem. Their plan, of course, is to eventually build this wireless chip into all of their appliances. But they said, why don't we kickstart this? Why don't we accelerate it by launching an appliance line that is going to come with the wireless chip? So some really exciting progress there. Something that I like to say every time, and which I will continue to emphasize, is that India is hugely important to us. And we're here to stay. We're investing heavily. We hope to have many more of these events with all of you. And again, I want to thank you for being here. I'll hand over in a second here to Manu, but maybe I'll just leave you with this. So Sunday, this past, was Manu's birthday. And in the morning, a couple of days before, Aishwarya, who's our HR manager, we call her our little sister, sent around in the chat, which is this tool that we use to communicate as a team. She sent around this banner that she had put together, unbeknownst to any of us, with one of our designers about Manu. And I looked at this and I thought it was hilarious. The god of Indian e-commerce, his creativity is limitless. He poses as a cricket fan. He always pretends to be busy. The handsomest, heartbreaker ever drawn. His favorite movie is P.S. I Love You. Sorry, it's out. He's an Aishwarya Rai fan. So I looked at this and I said, this is awesome. So I just first instinct, with everything we do, right, share on Facebook. And I didn't really read the whole thing until I started looking at the comments that came on Facebook, and I realized that it was a slightly inappropriate thing to do because it was just an internal banner. But hey, it's out, and we love you, Manu. So I'm going to hand it over to the handsomest heartbreaker, Mr. Manu Jain, head of Xiaomi India. Manu.
Thank you so much for embarrassing me once again, Hugo. Thank you, guys. So a quick update about what's happening at Mi India. So just as I said, last time when we met, everybody was asking about this 1 million mark. So I'm happy to announce that we actually crossed this mark sometime in December. So we took about 4.5 months, a little less than 5 months, to cross this mark. I don't know whether this is the fastest or not, but this would definitely be one of the fastest achievements ever, if you look at all mobile companies or all smartphone companies in the history of India. We had a terrific year in 2014. So we looked at Google and Facebook. So if you look at all the Google trends for different mobile phones, Mi3 was the 7th most searched phone in India this year. And what is really impressive is, if you look at Facebook trends, our India launch was the 6th most talked about topic. And we had a pretty tough competition. What were the other topics? Things like general election, the IPL, cricket, the other World Cup. All these things. And Xiaomi was the 6th best, ahead of Alia Bhatt. So that was our year last year. Beginning of this year, which was starting 6th of Jan, we started a new process of having 2 flash sales every week. One for Redmi 1S and one for Redmi Note. And starting this week, we got about 500,000 registrations, about 500,000 registrations. That's what we've been getting for last 3 weeks. And we plan to continue with this process, where we'll have 2, maybe even 3 flash sales every week going forward. With Redmi Note 4G, we introduced a new plan, which was this double the data plan along with our partner Airtel. So as per this plan, if you are a Redmi Note 4G customer, and if you use a 4G SIM, any of the cities where 4G is enabled, you can actually get double the data. So if you are on 2 GB, you get 4 GB. If you're on 4 GB, you get 8 GB. If you're on 5 GB, you get 10 GB, with a limit of about $950 every month. So, and this plan is applicable for about 6 months. So any consumer can get free data up to $5,700 if they were to use this double the data 4G plan. What we also did was, every time we used to post our sale event on Facebook, people used to ask about Mi3, saying, oh, when is Mi3 coming back? I didn't get a chance to buy Mi3, and now you guys are planning to buy Mi4. There was so much of emotional connect around it. Every time people used to comment about it on our Facebook page, on our Twitter. So we said we should bring back Mi3 at least one last time before we launch Mi4. So on this Republic Day, which was day before yesterday, we actually brought a very small, limited quantity of Mi3 back. All that people had to do, are Mi fans, that they had to share it on the Facebook, and they had to register on mi.com, and then select lucky winners. They got a chance to buy a Mi3 through Flipkart. We have been going pretty strong on our social media. So we have more than 100,000, about 120,000 Facebook likes. And this is all 100% organic, without spending a single paisa or a rupee on promoting any of our posts or any of our page. In fact, on many of our posts, we get as high as 3,000 to 4,000 likes or shares. The Mi3 post that we did, we got a record-breaking 6,000 shares. And the kind of engagement scores that we see is humongous. Like on an average, we get about 14 to 15,000 clicks on every single post that we make. Our MiUi community continues to grow. So we have about 120,000 active users on our MiUi forum. So we have 2 different forums. There's a global English forum, and there's an India fan forum. On India Fan Forum, we have about 25,000 people now. And on Global Forum, we have about 120,000 people. And we continue to do different kind of fan meets. So this is a fan meet that Jay and Rohit did a few days back in Bangalore. There were about 60 people who came across, and from more than 10 cities. There were people traveling from Pune, Hyderabad, Cochin, parts of Maharashtra, only for this particular fan meet. And so these are the different kind of themes that we have launched. Last time when we met, we had spoken about Diwali theme, Sachin theme, and we said we are going to launch a new theme based on a particular film star. So this was Rajnikant theme, the one that you see on the right-hand side. So we have already received up close to 40 to 50,000 downloads of Rajnikant theme and about 100,000 downloads for Sachin theme. This year, we are going to invest very heavily on our service network. We are already present across 25 to 30 cities. We have 66 service centers, out of which 5 are our own exclusive, and about 61 are our partner service centers. This year, the aim is to really grow our exclusive service centers. So from 5, we want to go to 100 plus. And this will be one of the biggest focus areas for Me India this year, apart from setting up our own R&D center. So this is a small little dingy office that many of you have been to. We are about 18 people now, which is pretty big as compared to how we started, with just about 2 people. And we are now signing up a lease for about 20,000 square feet office in Bangalore, next to our office, where our first R&D center would be located outside China. So this is in a very brief summary of what's happening about Me India. And now let's talk about the actual hero of today, our product.
Thank you, Manu. Thank you very, very much. All right. So we have a few exciting things to talk about. I want to start with MiUi, which I think many of you have already experimented with, and I'm very, very excited to talk about. As I've mentioned before, MiUi has a very interesting and emotional history. It started with about 100 fans in 2010, people who were Android ROM enthusiasts and who became curious when they heard about this new thing that was coming that was called MiUi. It was a very customizable ROM that had some unique new features. The first 100 fans that registered in the first MiUi forum had their names burned into the ROM of MiUi 1.0. So in the splash screen of MiUi 1.0, you would see their names, their usernames, and sort of they entered history with us in that way. From that core base of 100 incredibly enthusiastic and dedicated users, we've now achieved over 85 million users worldwide. The number has actually grown well beyond 85 million, which makes it almost without any doubt one of the most popular, if not the most popular, Android ROM around the world. So it's a very, very significant achievement that I think even our own software engineers didn't expect when they started this project. So incredibly exciting that we're reaching so many people around the world. Something that we're really proud of is that because MiUi is designed with the needs of internet users in mind, it is a platform that drives incredible engagement with internet applications. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, but on average, MiUi users spend 7% more time in apps than even the highest app engagement platform that we see out there, which is iOS, which is a very, very significant metric that I love coming back to. Welcome. Thank you for coming. MiUi has users in well over 100 countries now. It's been translated to almost 30 languages. And we have about 30 fan sites around the world. These are sites created by our fans. The language translations done by our fans as well. 3 of the languages that I just pulled from the console last week: Slovenian, Macedonian, and Albanian. Languages that probably some of us haven't even heard being spoken in our lives before. We get photos from our fans all the time. These are some of the photos that we received in the anniversary, in the 4th anniversary of MiUi last year, which was when we announced the first alpha version of MiUi6. The MiUi community is what drives the development of MiUi. MiUi6, in fact, was an extraordinary achievement because a lot of the features that you're going to see in it today actually evolved quite a bit over the last 6 months through feedback from the fan community. And we can talk about this in a lot more detail this afternoon when we talk about MiUi. We'll do a very, very deep dive on the technical side of MiUi. So what most of you have already seen and have used is MiUi v5, which has been around for some time. We're now introducing MiUi 6. I'm going to do this animation again because it's beautiful. So that's MiUi 5. That's MiUi 6. Let's talk about MiUi 6. First of all, I'm very happy to announce that MiUi 6 is finally coming to India. We're very, very excited about this. We've been running beta test groups with MiUi 6 across various devices here in India. And we're really, really, really excited to finally bring it to our fans. It's something that we've been getting requests for many months now. So I want to dive into MiUi 6, and I'll start with a really cool video that just will get us into the mood for talking about MiUi 6. Welcome to MiUi 6. We're going to spend the next probably 15 minutes or so talking about what's new in MiUi 6, what's exciting about it, and we're also going to revisit some of the features that we've improved from previous versions of MiUi. So MiUi 5, for those of you who have used it, very, very well known for two things in particular. Customization, without a doubt, the most customizable Android ROM that you'll find, and also security. Built-in security tools as well as performance tools. So we're going to continue to invest significantly into these pillars, if you will, customization and security. But to talk about MiUi 6, I want to introduce 3 other pillars. Color, which is all about making things look beautiful. Motion graphics and animations that really makes things come to life, that finally exercises these amazing chipsets and GPUs that these devices come with. And content. Content is about putting the content that matters to you, that matters at the time, in front of you, at the center, making it the center of attention. So color, motion, content, customization, security. Color, content, motion, customization, security. My previous boss said, repetition does not spoil the prayer. So I keep saying it to myself over and over again. Color, motion, content, customization, and security. Let's start with color. And I have a few beautiful things that I'm going to show you mostly throughout today. You'll see a lot of extremely liberal use of color. We think that there's no limit to how much color can be used, and we have gone crazy in how we use color in MiUi 6, and you'll see that all throughout. Let's spend a few minutes talking about motion. Like I said, motion graphics and animations, which is a very, very important part of MiUi 6. This is presumably one of the equations that our motion designers used to talk about or to design motion into the platform. And I'll show you a few examples here. The first couple of examples actually have a motion chart on the right so that you can follow what's happening. This is time versus completion of the movement. And it's this beautiful parabolic movement. The first one is for the recents animation. So watch what happens when you press the recents button. You see how they came in at a slightly different speed and acceleration. If you want to see that again. Sorry. No, I got it. Manu, I got it. So beautiful how they come in sort of in this staggered fashion. I'm going to show you this one animation twice. This is from our clock application. The first time around, I'd like you to pay attention to the bottom of it. And then for the second time, we're going to pay attention to the top. So pay attention to the bottom and watch how what happens when you tab from one part of the app to the other. You see this again, this sort of staggered motion, which is described by the yellow curves on the bottom here. Now I'm going to play this again, and I'd like you to look at the top part of the screen, the colorful area, and watch the shape transitions, how they grow, how they bounce, and how one shape becomes another. Very, very subtle things that are sort of very, very delightful to the eye when you look at them, and they don't get you tired. You will see this and you'll be delighted time and time again because they're subtle enough. Beautiful. One of my favorite animations is the device unlock animation. When you power it up, you're on the lock screen, you slide up to unlock. This is what happens. Again, this beautiful animation, which again has this very sort of physically real movement. That's just delightful to watch. And you'll see that all throughout the UI. This is one of my favorite motion graphics designs as part of MiUi6, which is the weather app. So if you enter the weather app and then you flick up to see more information about the city, this is what you'll experience. So again, the various different modules of functionality, I'm going to play this again, animate as they come into the screen. It's beautiful. So that's the weather app. I think I have to be on this side. The power menu is a subtle but incredibly delightful application. What happens when you hold the power button? You see this. And then you hit airplane mode, and the airplane takes off. If you want to watch that again. Hold the power button. You see this, these 4 circles coming in. Press the airplane button. It sort of bounces ever so slightly, and then the little airplane takes off. It's absolutely beautiful. This is by far my favorite. So what happens when you delete an app? Traditionally, you drag the app to the delete target, and it disappears. We thought, why can't we do something a little bit more fun? So watch what happens. You pick up the app, you drop it to the trash, press uninstall, and it just explodes. I'm going to show you another one. Now, pay attention to the colors of the dots. The exploding pieces of the icon vary based on, of course, the color of the icon. So here you're going to see red dots, cream color dots, blue dots, and green dots when we explode this app. Uninstall. Right, it's beautiful. You almost want to install a bunch of apps just so that you can uninstall them. So we'll come back to this. You know, these little things make a huge difference. So this is the Compass app. And there's a couple of things I want you to notice. So first of all, when the phone is sort of facing down, what you'll notice is that there's a pretty awesome 3-dimensional treatment that's given on the Compass. But then when you lift it up, what we thought was it it would make most sense for you to be able to see where you're looking at, since we have a camera on the other side. So watch what happens. So you lift it up, you fade into a live view, and you can literally look at what's at 73 degrees, and so on. Icons embody this idea of color and motion in a very, very powerful way. And we have beautiful iconography as part of MiUi6. I want to show you what MiUi5 looked like and what MiUi6 icons look like. So this were the icons from MiUi v5. They're nicely designed. They're sort of slightly three-dimensional. There's some weight to them. They're very, very good looking. But we thought we'd give them a complete new look through MiUi6. So I'll show you this again. This is 5. This is 6. Some of them are just subtly different. But the difference matters a lot, and you can see how the whole family comes together in a really, really beautiful way. No saving of color. As much color as possible is what we've used. We've also added motion graphics in some really beautiful ways to our icons. So you'll see the calendar icon turn if you're watching carefully when the day goes from one to the next. Even the compass icon can be alive as well. So beautiful motion graphics also built into the icons themselves. So that was a bit of motion and color. Now I want to talk about content and what I mean when I say putting content at the very center. So first of all, we want to talk about notifications. We've done some pretty interesting and aggressive things about notifications on MiUi6. Notifications is one of these things that's been on Android from the very beginning. It's been designed with the intention of course, making it such that apps can present themselves to you whenever it's important and when you really need to pay attention to something. However, notifications have in some ways become a bit burdensome, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But the first thing we did with notifications was realizing that phone calls in particular are just not dealt with in the right way. This is something that we actually introduced just before launching MiUi6 because it was a highly acclaimed feature, and then we brought it into MiUi6 right away. So, when you're doing something on your device, whether you're playing a game, getting ready to take a photo, or you're actually texting someone, and a phone call comes in, it's this modal interruptive action. It sort of violently pulls you away from what you were doing. It almost never ends in happiness. So we thought, well, a phone call, unless you're doing nothing with your phone, should actually be a notification. A very in-your-face floating notification, as we call it. But it should not interrupt what you're doing necessarily. It should give you just enough time to finish what you're doing, whether that's taking a photo or texting someone. So like I said, we introduced this well before Lollipop did the same in MIUI 5, and then we brought it to MIUI 6. And it laid the groundwork for a lot of really interesting notifications work that we did, not only building into the product, but how we thought about notifications. And we've done some interesting things here. So first of all, this is what your notification shade might look like, right? You've got a bunch of different notifications, some of which are quite important, like a meeting that's about to start, somebody who just texted you or sent you a chat message, some of which are pretty unimportant or downright useless, things that maybe you can deal with later or not want to deal with at all. So we thought this was a decent insight. Important notifications and unimportant notifications, a decent enough insight that we thought we were going to do something about it, and we did. So in MIUI 6, notifications are displayed according to their importance in a very simple way. There's important notifications and there's unimportant notifications. We do intelligent prioritization and a lot of curation. If all of you were apps and I asked you, is your notification important? You'd say yes, right? No one is going to say, my notifications are not important. So we said, we're going to be the authority, and we're going to decide, along with our users, what notifications are important and what notifications are not important. And we're going to give them a different treatment, while of course retaining your ability to do whatever you want as a user and customize things the way you want. Let me be very specific. There's basically 4 places where notifications can appear on MiUi. They can appear on the notification shade, right, which is what you pull down. They may appear on the status bar, which is the thing on the very, very top. They may appear on the lock screen, or they may appear on the desktop itself, which is not something that's done in Android traditionally, but which we do, right? So if an app has a notification, it might show a badge. This is something that iOS and WebOS have done. So first of all, what happens to unimportant notifications? Well, by default, unimportant notifications are tucked away neatly outside of your view. They do not appear in front of you whatsoever. They're signaled to you by the operating system with these 3 dots over here. Then, of course, if you want to look at them, what you do is you pull down the shade. What you do is you pull down the shade, and there they are, your unimportant notifications, and you can do whatever you want to do with them. You can kill them all. You can obviously triage them if you'd like. So by default, these unimportant notifications are not going to show up at all. You're not even going to see an icon for these unimportant notifications on the status bar. If you are an icon kind of person and you want to see them, you can turn them on. There's an option in settings that says show status bar icons, and then you're going to see the icons on the top. However, we've made this area actually quite short, so you're not going to see scrolling notifications that get in your way. Those are gone, not in MiUi6. You will see the icons if you want, but by default, not even the icons for the unimportant notifications. Again, you can turn them on if you like. And then what happens with the important notifications, your calendar notification, your WhatsApp, your hike, any other important high priority notifications, according to our authority and that of our users, they will appear as a floating notification. And what you can do is you can click on them, and you can go to the application, or you can flick them away if you don't want to deal with them at the time, right? The way we've designed this is, unless you're using 10 different instant messaging applications and have people texting you all the time, you're not going to be burdened all the time by one of these floating notifications. And it's up to us, not up to the app, to decide. And of course, we do it, again, with our users. This stuff is crowdsourced, right? So that we have a pretty good judgment of what's important and what's not important. But what if you disagree with us? What if you say, well, I actually think that such and such application is really important? I'll come back to that in 1 second. Another really simple assumption that we've made. If a notification is important, well, then it's important enough that it should probably also appear on the lock screen. So important notifications will appear on the lock screen as they come in. And all you got to do to be able to deal with that is to double tap, and then you'll be taken into the application, and then you can actually deal with it. And like I said earlier, if you disagree, you can change the setting on a per app basis. So you can come into the settings and say, well, I want this app to show up in the shade, or I want it to show up in the floating drop down or and in the lock screen, where you can actually make this election yourself. And we monitor, obviously, what's going on here. If a lot of people decide that a certain app actually is important enough that it should show up on the lock screen and drop down, we'll pay attention to that. We'll notice that. And then we'll potentially bring it into the whitelist, right? So just to step back for a second. Important and unimportant notifications treated very, very differently. As a user, you can override that stuff. You can say, I want icons all the time in the status bar. You turn that on. Or you can change it on a per app basis, and you can decide how notifications should be treated, right? So we think that's actually, from a usability perspective, a pretty significant step, possibly one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, that we did in MiUi6. And I would love to hear your thoughts once you've tried it. So let's keep going and talking about content. I want to show one more example of a few things that I could talk about, and that's the Mail app. What we've done with the Mail app to really make it easy for you to get to content and deal with it in a really easy, simple way. So first of all, when you're setting up your work or your school email account, for example, you will have to deal with something like this, where you have to enter your email address, the address to the server, which is often not something that you will easily know. It's not always mail.x, whatever. Sometimes you have to enter port details and so on, usernames, all of that stuff. Well, we decided we should figure out a way to get rid of all of that. So all you have to enter is your username and your password, and we'll figure everything out for you. So auto setup is something that we implemented as part of Mail. You only have to enter username and password. We support already over 120,000 email domains, and this stuff is crowdsourced, right? So when users add new domains, we'll just use those credentials. If they match what other users have been doing, then we can automatically start populating things. And of course, we only look at the public part of the information, obviously not username and password. So that's auto setup. Another thing that we've done to really simplify the UI is how to deal with replies, right? So in the Android Mail client, in the iOS Mail client, or in the stock Android Mail client, you have these buttons, and if you want to reply to something, you have to hit reply and then write the reply. Well, reply is a pretty standard action, right? So what we did was, well, you just see the reply text box, and all you have to do is tap in it and start typing, right? And you're writing your reply. You can hit send, or you can tap those three dots and look at other options, for example, like reply all, right? So you could choose to reply all with that message that you just wrote, and off you go, right? So a really simple way to deal with a very basic thing like responding to emails. Another thing that we've implemented as well, which simplifies your life, is viewing your email threads. So traditionally, the way that you would look at a conversation that spans multiple messages, a threaded conversation, in the traditional mail client, with the exception of Gmail, is you click on that message, and then you see the three conversations, right? This is how it works on iOS. This is how it works on the Android Mail client. Well, we thought it really should be done in a better way, and we actually thought that there was an even better way to do it than how Gmail handles it, which is to take inspiration on how chat apps work. So what happens when you click on that very same message that you just saw, which is the second message on the screen here, is this. You click on it, and what you get is an incredibly simplified chat-like view of that app, where only the new part of the conversation is displayed. It's all relatively well encapsulated, that you can see what's one message versus what's the other message. Every single one of these messages only takes a very small amount of space, and if there's anything new on that thread, you'll be able to see it right away. Right? If it's a longish message, we add a little more thing, but this makes it a lot easier for you to deal with this conversation. If this message was new and unread, then it would be open. Right? If it's already been read, then it's collapsed. It's so basically a little module that means you don't have to scroll through that entire old message to see what's going on. So a very, very simple thing, which we call conversation view. It's an option that's turned on by default. You can turn it off if you don't want to use it. That's conversation view. The other thing is helping people deal with their attachments. Where are my attachments? Your attachments are all in one place across all of the message that you've received. You just have to press attachments, and then we will show you all your attachments in one place. And there you go. Right? So you can click on them, you can see who sent them to you, when it was sent, and so on. So very, very simple. Last thing I want to talk about in content is the home screen. Because after all, organizing your apps is something about making sure that your content is front and center. So we have a couple of new things here, but I'm going to walk you through the full thing. Some of you probably know some of these features, but you'll see the new stuff. So first of all, organizing your home, organizing your house, really important thing to do, and I think we've nailed it in a much more interesting and user-friendly way than any other platform out there. Moving apps, as you all know, on MiUi can be done with 2 fingers in a very simple way. You pick up the icon that you want to move, and then with the other finger you scroll. You can see that again. Right, so you can quickly move it past 2, 3, 4 home screens if you want, and then drop it off wherever you want. You don't have to drag it to the edge, wait for the page to scroll. It's all very simple. So that's moving apps. Something that we've done, which is much better on MiUi6, is bulk move. You can pick up multiple different apps, and you can move them all across screens at the same time. And we've made this a lot more intuitive in MiUi6. That's bulk move. We also have bulk delete. Can you imagine what that's going to look like? It's delightful. So you pick up the apps that you don't want to delete. Notice that we've chosen very carefully apps that you've never heard about. And then you drag it to the top. You hit install, and right, you have this salad of colors taken from all the different apps, right? So bulk delete is pretty awesome. Next one is shake to clean up, also known as, what do you call it again, Jay? As OCD mode. So all you have to do is, when you're in the edit mode, you shake it, and it auto-arranges the apps for you. It only happens when you're in the edit mode, right? So you have to pinch out or hold onto an empty space on the home screen. Then you can shake it, and then everything gets rearranged and cleaned up for you. We've got these transitions effects, which we've also polished and cleaned up in MiUi6. This is the standard slide effect. But if you go into edit mode, you can choose, for example, the cube animation or the tumble animation. There's a bunch of others. Rotate is very popular, actually. It's the one that I use. It just adds kind of a new twist to your home screen experience. So these are the transition effects in MiUi6. We've done some cool things with app preview, and more specifically recents, right? Which is like your task manager. So if you hold onto the recents button, this is what you'll see. And at first glance, it's very similar to what you've seen before. Of course, you can flick icons away if you want to kill these apps. You can pull them down. And if you do that, it'll lock them such that these apps cannot get garbage collected. Or you can pinch out, and then you get full previews, but only if you want them. Of course, when you're in preview mode, you can flick them away. Or you can pinch to close again, and you go back to just your icons. This is a total personal preference. You'll find 50% of the world's population wanting the icons by themselves. 50% of the world's population wants the actual previews, and one hates the other, right? So we've made it possible, and of course, we'll remember your setting such that you can decide whether you want one or the other. So that's app preview. All right, let's talk about customization. So we've talked about color, motion, content, and now we're going to talk about customization. The first thing I want to talk about in customization are themes. So themes are something that we are super, super proud of, and we've spent a lot of time making our themes look beautiful, and our theme store in particular. So this is a theme store in MiUi6. It's cleaner, it's more colorful, as you'd expect. And we've designed all these awesome themes. We've got Bunny Love, which was designed here in India. And Bunny Love is all about celebrating love with a twist, if you will. So that this is a very recent theme that's gotten 15,000 downloads or so. So this is our famous Rajnikant theme, and you can do a few things here. You can if you tap on this button, you get. Oops, let me go back. Sorry about that. You can fire bullets. Let's see that. Or if you press on this one, you can light up the cigarette. Or if you press on this one, you get laka laka. And of course, if you unlock it, you'll notice some interesting things here. The rickshaw that Rajnikant drove in Basha, right? It's the name of the movie. And there's a few other sort of recognizable things that you'll find here. If you look, for example, at well, sort of hard to catch it, but Mind It, which I know is one of the things that he likes to say. This is a movie where he's bald-headed, which is pretty well known. So this is actually it's a very cool theme because it allows you to discover things, I guess, particularly if you are from India. And we are pretty excited about it. Over 40,000 downloads. It's a very popular theme so far. This one is basically from Makar Sankranti, which is obviously a very important holiday here. And we've done something interesting with this theme. This is a brand new theme. It actually has a built-in game on the lock screen. So if you hit play, what you'll be in is a game where you have to catch. Why are we not God? So hit play. All right. No, that's not the one that I wanted. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there you go. So you can catch some pongal. You can catch as many as you can. So that'll give you an instant satisfaction at literally a finger press away. And then, of course, if you want to actually use your phone, just unlock it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful theme to celebrate this festival. And the details are phenomenal. Just really, really nice work. And we've had a team of design interns from around India that has been working on these themes, and many more to come. And it's actually really interesting that they're starting to inspire some of the Mi fans in India themselves to start doing some work, which I'll show you in a second. So this is obviously Sachin, a tribute to Master Blaster. To unlock it, you have to basically do a run. There you go. So you unlock it. This is the most popular theme that we've had to date. And you see the cricket field in the back. There's a lot of interesting elements from cricket here, which you'll discover as you use the device. Like here, cricket bat, if you go to the recents, you see the roller that's used to sort of flatten out the cricket field and so on. All right. We have a bunch of Diwali themes that we've designed, and I'm going to skip through some of this stuff. To unlock the phone, you have to light the candles. So this is a very sort of cleanly designed theme that's based, again, on Diwali. It got about 25,000 downloads. We have two other Diwali themes that we also designed. This is one of them. And like I said earlier, we've started to inspire fans to design their own themes. Right, so this is a theme that's entirely designed by one of our fans, where color is used pretty freely, and it's a beautiful theme. It's gorgeous, and it's been doing well. This is another Mi fan design theme. Right, these are designers that we didn't know at all. Right, that decided that they thought this was a great idea, so they've been designing themes for MiUi, and we're very excited about that. A little known fact is that with the thousands and thousands of themes that we have in the theme store, you can actually mix and match. So you can say, I want the icons from the Master Blaster theme. I want the lock screen with Rajnikant in it. I want the background from this theme. I want the notification style or the ringtone from that theme, and so on. So you can mix and match them, and that's kind of like the ultimate level of customization, right? You can essentially create your own theme without being a designer. Incredible, incredible customization. We have now over 8,000 themes that were submitted, or about 8,000 themes that were submitted to the store in 2014. And we have surpassed 10,000 themes in the store already. This number is slightly old. And then in terms of usage metrics, 328%, sorry, this is in terms of themes submitted, more than 3x growth from 2013 to 2014. In 2014 alone, over 2 billion themes downloaded. This is worldwide, to be clear, which was also a significant growth from the previous year, over 200% growth. So themes are doing extremely well as part of MiUi. Just one final thing on customization. It's what I like to call performance. We have a lot of features that allow you to really sort of tweak and optimize your phone to get the most out of it. A very popular app or function of MiUi is the cleaner function. Over 9 million people use this every single day. It's handled a huge number of files. It's essentially freed up a huge amount of space on users of MiUi to date, and it's an incredibly trustworthy tool. It doesn't delete anything unless it knows that you don't need it. We also have designed a lot of tools for helping you monitor your data usage. This is something that I've talked about before, where you can decide which apps are allowed to use cellular data, for example. And with MiUi6, we've introduced a new feature for data roaming, which we know matters a lot here in India as well, where you say, well, when I'm roaming, I want to automatically shut down all my apps, except for maybe these 3 or 4, or however many apps you choose, right? So it's a data roaming exception list that is incredibly helpful because it's automatic, right? So whenever you're roaming and you know that you'll be paying more money for data, that automatically kicks in if you've turned it on, and it gives you peace of mind. It's obviously a fantastic tool to have. We've continued to improve our battery performance related tools with more battery profiles and so on. I'm not going to talk through these in detail. And then, of course, just to close out on potentially the most important thing for many of you, which is security, right? Security is of utmost importance for MiUi, and we've continued to do a lot of work to do that. Our virus scanner, which has been available on our platform for many versions, continues to get better. We use a really good engine that scans every app, whether it's downloaded or side-loaded, before it is allowed to get installed. And we have done a lot of work around permissions as well, so that you can really control very, very finely what happens on your device. We have the auto start list, which we've talked about before. You can choose which apps are allowed to start on their own and run in the background, which means only the apps that you really care about are going to be using your battery, so and data as well. So this has a huge impact over battery usage, power consumption. We also have a permission manager that allows you to control what your apps are allowed to see in terms of resources and data on the device and what they're not, right? So here I can, for example, choose Facebook. I can see what permissions Facebook has. I can decide, for example, that I don't want it to see my location, and I can outright deny access at the API level to location information. I can say, for example, whenever Facebook asks to read my call history, prompt me, let me know, and decide at that point whether I want to give Facebook access to my call history, and so on. Right? So these are things that are really, really helpful if you are one of those users who likes to get the most out of your device and who really wants to control things in a very fine-grained fashion. So that's MiUi6. We've talked about the 5 pillars. I'm not going to repeat them once more. And MiUi6, like I said, is coming to India. Starting today, we've begun pushing MiUi6 to Mi3 devices. This process should complete by next week. Same thing for Redmi Note 4G by early February, which is next week. Most users should be getting the MiUi6 update notification, right, which is optional, so you choose if you want to update or not. We expect most people are going to take the update. Redmi 1S and Redmi Note, the regular 3G version of Redmi Note, are going to receive the update sometime in late March to early Q2. So that's our plan right now for India and MiUi6. Just a side note, which I know a lot of you care about, kernel sources. We have already released the kernel sources for Redmi 1S. We're going to release the kernel sources for Redmi Note 4G this week. So we're excited about that. And we're also adopting a new approach for kernel sources. We're answering to a lot of the very energized fans. I don't know if any of you here have emailed me about kernel sources, but I receive about 10 emails a day about kernel sources. Some of them are very enthusiastic, I should say, fans asking for kernel sources, starting with Mi Note, which is a device that we've launched already in China just this week. We are committed to publishing kernel sources within 3 months of the very first device launch. It doesn't matter which country it was launched in first. Within 3 months of that launch, we will publish kernel sources for the community, for the developer community. And we think that's a pretty good bar to set. And that's what we're going to hold ourselves against, starting with Mi Note. One thing that I've talked about before, but maybe some of you haven't heard, is our attitude towards essentially hacking, right? Rooting. We not only think that rooting is a great idea. If you want to experiment with your device, our devices are unlocked and the bootloader is open, is unlocked. If you screw it up, if you do something when you're trying to flash, whatever other Android ROM version it is, whether it's stock Android or CM, if you screw it up, it's okay. It does not void your warranty at all. Even trying does not void your warranty. You can bring it to an exclusive service center, and we'll fix it for you. Right? So it is covered by the warranty. All right. So take a deep breath, and we're going to talk about the second part of the presentation. By the way, for those of you who are interested in learning more about MiUi6, Jay and I are going to do a session at some point after this. We'll announce it a bit later. So if you want to stick around, we'll have a live device and we'll geek out. We'll talk about it in great detail. What I want to talk about now is what we call the journey of a piece of steel, which of course I think you all know what it's about. A little bit of history. The very first Mi device that we launched, which was in August of 2011, was Mi1. So that was about 3.5 years ago, so a while ago, but not that long ago. And we've launched essentially 5 phone models up until sort of last year. In the last 3.5 years, we had the Mi1 series, the Mi2 series, the Redmi, which became Redmi 1S, and now Redmi 2, the Mi3, the Redmi Note, and we're finally adding Mi Note as well. So a very small number of projects, if you will, in 3 years relative to what you're used to in this industry. These are products that fans love deeply. We put a huge amount of time in them because we want to make sure that we're getting it right. And the Mi Phone family in particular is one that I love talking about because these are the flagship devices, right? This is where we set the bar. This is where we experiment with the latest and greatest components. Oftentimes, we are the first company, the first smartphone vendor to launch a product with a new chip, right? Mi1 was China's first dual-core 1.5 gigahertz device. Mi2 was the first product to launch Snapdragon 600. Mi3 was a dual first. It was the first 8974AB or 8X74AB chipset, which is the faster version of Snapdragon 800, and it was the first Tegra 4 smartphone as well, which was a TDS CDMA version of Mi3, right? So a lot of firsts, and we are continuing to charter new territory. And we're here to launch Mi4, right? So this is the device. It's absolutely beautiful. I've got mine right here. And let me just page the slide. And there you go. So that's Mi4. So that's the device that we're launching today. All right. So let's talk about Mi4. And I have quite a few things to say about it because it's an amazing device. First of all, it's a stainless steel metal frame that takes engineering and a bit of magic to create. And I want to walk you through this because it's quite an extraordinary achievement from our engineering team. It took us 18 months and 6 significant prototypes to actually get to something that we thought was what our fans expected with Mi4. The manufacturing process for just the stainless steel metal frame, which of course is what you see and where you hold the device on, is about 40 steps and 193 different processes to get to it, right? So a significant amount of R&D just in creating a process alone for manufacturing this stainless steel frame. And in a nutshell, I'm going to walk you through this, and then I'll show you a gorgeous video, a few things. First of all, the first process is metal forging. So this is literally taking a sheet of metal and turning it into more or less what you think begins to look like a mobile phone stainless steel frame. So it's an 8-step process with a few different machines. That's the metal forging process. Then you have the CNC process, which is essentially starting to sculpt that frame into a much more detailed piece. We have an 8-step CNC milling process. And then the third process is the chamfering process, which is 13 steps to basically cut the chamfer on the top and on the bottom of the device. And the chamfer is extremely beautiful. It's extremely delicate. And I'll show you some of the measurements in a second. But it takes an incredible amount of precision to cut the chamfer the way that it's done. And you'll see this with your own eyes later. This is what it looks like on the side, right? So you have a narrow and flat edge on the top, which is less than 3 millimeters. Then you have a polished chamfer, which is glossy. Then you've got this vertical wall, which is not glossy, and in fact, it is fingerprint proof. It took a very intricate process to get to that. And then you've got the chamfer on the bottom as well. In order to make the side of this metal frame as fingerprint proof as possible, we used a sandblasting process along with a liquid treatment, which maintains the look of stainless steel, but of course makes it non-fingerprint friendly. So we tested a bunch of different types of sand with different particle sizes and a bunch of different rounds until we found something that made it as smooth as silk. We replaced what's usually done when you have a metal frame, which is a rubber layer in between the frame and the glass, with edge coating. And we made it impossibly thin, right? So 0.05 millimeters is essentially the size of that edge coating, which makes it incredibly delicate. When you look at it, you almost can't see that there's any distance at all between the metal frame and the glass, right? So you have to see this with your own eyes, and sometimes even with more than your own eyes, so that you can truly, truly appreciate the detail. We use a ton of automation. A lot of this was actually done with new machines that were designed specifically for manufacturing this product. Foxconn, which was one of our partners who helped us design the manufacturing process, spent about $200 million in new equipment, both R&D as well as manufacturing new equipment, so that the Mi4 metal frame could be manufactured. Hi-P, which is another partner that we used for this as well, spent about $100 million to a total spend of $300 million just in R&D and machinery for manufacturing the stainless steel metal frame that you're going to see on your Mi4. The back cover of this device is gorgeous as well. It uses this graded pattern design, and you have to kind of turn it around against the light to see how beautiful it is. right? So it's a world of difference compared to something like a flat white back. It's absolutely beautiful, and you have to see again with your own eyes. The back cover is arched, which makes it easier and more comfortable to hold. And I can't say anything, but the craftsmanship of this product is absolutely unbelievable. And Mi4, designing Mi4 forced us to build a team of basically world experts that you'll be hard pressed to find, and it opened a new era for us, right? If you look at Mi Note, you'll see a lot of the Mi4 design elements taken to a new level. So it's really allowed us to become a world-class industrial design shop, and that's what we are today. We're very, very proud of it. And so Mi4 was a game changer for us from a design perspective. It's only 149 grams, so it's an incredibly light device as well, particularly considering that it's got a stainless steel metal frame. So what I want to show you now is a video called "The Journey of a Piece of Steel," how we went from a metal plate that weighed 309 grams to something that's only 19 grams through those 40 steps and 193 processes that I talked about. I wish I could take all of you to the production line at Foxconn to see this coming to life. There's one shot in this video which you saw towards the end, where you see literally a never-ending, set of rows of robots essentially that are building this thing. It's maybe I'm just a geek and I'm completely hopeless, but it's those are real goosebumps. All right. Welcome to Mi4. Let me tell you very quickly about the specs that make this one of the most amazing products in the world, certainly the most beautiful 5-inch device that we've ever made. It's a Snapdragon 801 device. So what you'd expect, quad-core, 2.5 gigahertz. It comes standard with 3 gigabytes of RAM, as opposed to what you'd normally see, which is 2 gigabytes. So 3 gigabytes of RAM. LPDDR3 RAM, which is twice as fast as the previous version of RAM. And it's really, really high-end RAM. It's the RAM that you'll find on your MacBook Pro or your latest MacBook Air. So it's extremely fast, highest quality RAM. LPDDR4 has just come out. Right, so this is still pretty much cutting edge, and it's an amazingly fast RAM. We use the best flash memory available, which is eMMC 5.0. Mi4 comes with 16 gigs of eMMC 5.0 flash memory. So really fast in any way you look at it. Then it's a 5-inch IPS display, which I'll talk about in great detail in a second. 1080p Full HD. It's manufactured by JDI primarily, and we also second source it from Sharp. The camera, which I'll spend some more time on, well, both cameras, the most extraordinary that certainly we've seen in any market we're in. 13 megapixel on the front, 8 megapixel on the back. They're both f1.8 aperture cameras, right? So that means you'll get more light into the camera. You'll be able to get better, narrower focus on your photos, which makes them more artistic, makes them more beautiful, and of course it does really well in low light. I'll talk more about the camera in a bit. And then a 3080 milliamp hour lithium-ion polymer battery. I'll skip through this. Snapdragon 801, Adreno 330 GPU. So this is a gaming device without a doubt. We've talked about the RAM, so I'll skip through this. Mi4 with all of the performance management tools, that we've talked about and so on. This device can last you a day and a half on a single battery charge. If you don't do anything too crazy. We also support fast charging, and in fact, we support 2 fast charging standards. Sorry if I'm clicking through these slides too fast. By the way, you have all of the slides in your USB stick drive, which you'll receive today. So everything is in there. So we support 2 charging standards. We support what's called the, sorry guys, this slide is a little problematic. So 2 charging standards. We support 5 volt 2 amps, and then we support the new Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0 standard, which is 9 volts and 1.2 amps. And this will get your battery charged to 60% in 1 hour. And the battery will be fully charged in 2.5 hours. I forgot what these stats are, but you can get a lot even in just 15 minutes. Right? So Quick Charge 2.0, that's supported by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 chipset. But actually, many of the phones that you can find with Snapdragon 801 do not actually support Quick Charge, even though the chipset supports it. The rest of the hardware doesn't support it necessarily. So that's quick charging, which is amazingly convenient. 2 things that I want to spend a little bit of time on. One is the display, which I've mentioned briefly already. So this is a IPS display by JDI primarily, a full HD, 441 pixels per inch. It uses